Hello and welcome to episode 1 of Gamers Watch podcast. This is your host Harry and I'm here today with Shaun.
Hello.
And we are just a very loosely based Xbox themed podcast. We're mainly going to be talking about what an utter mess of human beings we both are, along with also being two of the most boring and most negative people that you've ever met. So we're a nice juxtaposition between the two of them. Now, myself and Shaun have known each other for about 15 or 16 years. We used to work together, we lived together, we loved together. And just in general, we just really enjoy talking about games. And we just thought, we've done a podcast before. It didn't go very well. So let's try and do a second podcast. What's the worst that can happen? I mean, it could get on Spotify and then more and more people could listen to it. And then people could realise we're not very funny. But we won't get into that.
As long as we get 20 people at Dave Station, we'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the time that we got 20 people at Dave Station to do a live podcast, and it was one of the worst experiences of my life. It just devolved into me and Shaun tearing our hair out as lots of people just shouted for an hour and a half. So hopefully with COVID and with there being no more than 6 people meeting up, we won't have that problem. So that's us. Shaun, do you want to just sort of say hello and introduce yourself a little bit?
Yes. Hello, I am Shaun. I am 28 now. Oh, God, I'm 28 now.
We're almost 30.
I was like 20 when we done the first podcast.
We were both in our early 20s. It's scary.
Yeah, it's not pleasant. I like games. Platformers and RPGs. Maybe.
He specifically likes Knack.
And Knack is good. Knack is life.
Knack is cack.
No.
So for the first episode, we thought that as a way for people to sort of get to know us, we would share some quite embarrassing stories. Well, not really embarrassing, just stories that sum up just how ridiculous our lives can be sometimes. We've come quite a long way. When we started the first podcast, we were both single. And we were both nerds, and now we're not single and we're still nerds. I've got a baby. And Shaun's got some cats.
We're fucking air ambulance taking off outside my flat is what I've got.
If you can hear basically Beirut outside Shaun's window, there's an air ambulance. We were supposed to record this podcast at 9:30 and it's currently 22:34 and this is our third take. So we're hoping that the air ambulance doesn't just smash straight into Shaun's living room. That would be quite annoying because then he wouldn't be able to export the MP3 file in time.
It would just be a one-man show from here on from Harry.
It basically would be. So what I wanted to do was me and Shaun, we wanted to start doing a podcast again because the Torbay Gamers Network got set up on Facebook and it was just a really cool place to start talking about games with people that were quite local to us. And we just thought, we've done a podcast before, we'll do another one. And it actually got a little bit more steam than really we were anticipating. We've got some really cool future plans with like local businesses, local streamers, content creators, and we're really excited to bring that to people. But while things are the way that they are, we're obviously having to do this podcast virtually. One of the things that I thought would be good is just to sort of talk about who we are. And I was trying to think of a story about sort of like, how can we sum ourselves up? And basically something happened this week that involves ex-England footballer Emil Heskey. And I'm at a point now where, because I knew that we were going to be doing a podcast, normally I'd just message Shaun straight away and be like, Shaun, the most ridiculous thing in the world has just happened to me. But I didn't want to do that and then spoil Shaun's genuine reaction. So Shaun, have you got any idea what this could be at all?
I have no idea. The whole week I've been going back and forth. At first I thought, it'll be something FIFA related because obviously gaming podcast and that. And then you told me no.
It has absolutely nothing to do with the actual sport that Emil Heskey is a professional in, or at least was.
So it's literally just to do with him?
Yeah, sort of, in a very backwards way. So, I'm not going to name names because this person may listen to the podcast, and they still haven't actually told me yet, and that will make sense later on. You may know, Shaun, I have a friend who very much likes Emil Heskey. Do you know that friend that I'm talking about?
Yes, yeah.
you know the friend. So to give everybody an idea how much this person likes Emil Heskey, oh my God, I've just dropped my phone. Oh, for God's sake. It's going, if it's not the air ambulance, it's me dropping things. So I have a friend who is infatuated with Emil Heskey. He has 7 Emil Heskey shirts, as well as a blow-up sex doll with Emil Heskey's face. So he's quite enamoured by the man. So I saw a Facebook post, and I don't know if you've seen this as well, Shaun, but it's an advert for footballers that can do voice messages for people, and you pay a fee. Have you seen these at all?
No, not at all.
So you can pay Razor Ruddock £15, and he will record a 2-minute video of your choice. You can pay what was the chap called? Alan Kirbishley, the former Charlton manager. You can pay him £25 and he'll do a 2-minute video. Have a guess how much Emil Heskey costs?
Oh, he's got to be quite up there, hasn't he? Like 70 quid.
He's £50. £50 will get you a personalised Emil Heskey video. So I saw this and I thought, this is amazing. I absolutely have to send this to his girlfriend. So I sent the video of Emil Heskey saying, hello, pay me £50. And about 3 days later, she messaged me back just to say, oh, hello, how are you? And I said, yeah, not too bad. Did you get the link that I sent you for the amazing Christmas gift that you could get for the nameless person? And do you know what she said? Do you know what she said back to me, Shaun? Bearing in mind that this person that we're speaking about, I've been friends with for almost 20 years. He is one of my closest friends. I would probably say he's up there with you, Shaun. Gotta put that out there. He is probably my top 3 best friends. The guy knows everything about me. Do you know what she said?
I'm hoping she said she got it, because I really want to end up seeing this message from Emil Heskey.
She said that they broke up 4 months ago.
What?
Yeah. So he didn't tell me that they broke up 4 months ago. And the way that I found out that my best friend and his long-term girlfriend, who he has a mortgage with, the way that I found out that they broke up was because I sent her a paid advertisement for Emil Heskey. Now it gets a little bit better. It gets a bit better because not only has he not told me, he hasn't told his parents yet.
How?
They've been broken up for 4 months, and he's not told his parents. And I don't know when he will. And the funny thing is I'm going to send him a link to this podcast, so he will listen to this and he'll then say, like, oh, hey, that was me you were talking about. And I'm not going to mention it. So the way that he's going to find out that I found out that he and his long-term girlfriend broke up is through me explaining an Emil Heskey story on my new podcast. And I just think that sums up basically what a cartoon character I can be sometimes. And I really wanted to tell you, but I knew that if I did tell you, it would completely spoil this moment of the podcast, which I'm now realizing may not be the sort of like golden nugget that I thought it was, but still.
We need to, instead of showing in the podcast, we need to just pay Emil Heskey to say sorry about your breakup.
Pay him £50 to say, oh, I'm very sorry to hear that you and your girlfriend broke up. That's the best idea ever. We need to crowdfund that because I've got a baby now, and I don't think that me paying for Emil Heskey videos is really the best use of my money, but I like the idea. So if anybody out there has £50 and they want to get Emil Heskey to record a personalised message on behalf of the podcast, let us know, because that would be amazing. Imagine, oh my God, we could get a trailer. So we've just recorded a trailer. Why did we not get Emil Heskey to do the trailer for this?
I mean, we could get him to do another trailer.
We could have we could have another trailer for the trailer. So we could have like a teaser trailer, and then we could have the official Emil Heskey HD Despacito trailer. Oh, dude, that would be amazing.
We'll slowly build it up to him being like a guest on one episode.
Yeah.
I
mean, that's going to cost us thousands. £250?
Well,
mate,
the
guy scored 9 goals for England, mate. It's going to cost us more than £250 to have him on for 45 minutes.
What we'll do is we'll write out the script, and then we'll just basically get him to just say all of his lines consecutively to squeeze them into as little minutes as possible, and then we'll just cut it and insert it. So
it will be like that episode of South Park where Chef is just cut and spliced from old episodes. It will be like, so Emil, what's your favourite type of ice cream? I like vanilla. That's amazing. That's what we'll do. We'll just get a load of random. We'll get like the top 400 words in the English language. We'll get Emil Heskey to just say them one after another, and then we'll just construct sentences and have him as a guest host.
That needs to happen now.
The Gamers Watch podcast featuring Emil Heskey. This is already better than the 30 episodes of the Press Play podcast.
Oh yeah, if we get Heskey on.
We'll get Emil Heskey. We now have to get Emil Heskey. That's quite a lot of pressure for a brand new podcast that might not even get on Spotify. That's a lot of pressure. But I just thought that was quite a nice little story. I was trying to think of things in the week. I do have a postman story that I will tell, maybe today, maybe at a later date, that I was going to tell, but then the Emil Heskey story happened, and I just thought it was perfect to bring up because it was so, like, on the nose, just describing how ridiculous we both are. But I
never would have guessed that in my life.
No, I did. Didn't I say to you?
Keeping a secret.
I said to you, didn't I, that it would take you 1,000 years and you would still never guess that.
Yeah.
And I think that's the annoying thing about the podcast is that I really, really wanted to tell you, like, as it was happening live, I wanted to be like, oh my God, you'll never guess what she said now. But no, I had to hold it in because I knew that at some point this week we would be recording. I didn't think it would be 11:45 on a Friday night, but I knew that we would be recording, and I knew that I had to keep it in, and it was really difficult to not tell you because it was hilarious. Same as the postman story. I swear I told you the postman story, but we'll get into that later on. One thing I do want to talk about as well is me and Shaun used to work together, and I know that Shaun, you have a story that quite nicely sums you up.
Oh yeah, my failing body stories. But one in particular was...
There's one in particular that involves your gallbladder. There is another one I'm sure we'll talk about when you had a heart attack.
That'll come up at some point.
There is also one where your ankles just didn't work playing football, and I'm sure we'll talk about that too.
Well, that's the ongoing one as well, my ankle. That's what I'm currently at physiotherapy. There was also the knee failure as well when we were playing American football at school. But we'll talk about your gallbladder today. Yeah, that was 2 years ago now. Jeez.
So me and Shaun used to work together. We worked together at Builders Merchants, and it was great fun. We lived together for about 6 weeks, and we worked together, and it was just ridiculous. And I remember one day you came in, Shaun, and you looked white in the face. You did not look well. And I thought it was the fact that maybe we'd been to like the pub the night before, or maybe you'd like eaten something dodgy. But you just had like this look on your face like someone had stabbed you in the stomach. It was bad. And we knew something was bad. So
yeah, I thought I was hungover at first.
Why don't you take us from the first day to almost your last day? Because it was almost your last day at one point.
Yeah, pretty much. I think it was start of April when it started. The like day where I came in white, and then that night,
sorry,
I must have thrown up about 8 times. Like all through the night.
I remember you messaging me in the morning, like, and I woke up at like 6, because I used to open up at 6:30, and I remember waking up and I had a message from you at like 2 a.m. and it was like, I don't feel very well, I've been sick like 3 times. And then I remember at like 4 o'clock I woke up because my phone buzzed, and I looked at my phone and it said, I think I'm dying. And I just went back to sleep.
Oh, Jason.
I just messaged you back like, I'll see you in the morning, and just went straight back to sleep. But I remember you coming in that day and you did not look well, and so we just sent you out to the back warehouse and we were like, just go put stock away.
not go home, rest up. You've been awake all night growing up. Just do back jobs so the customers can't see you.
Yeah, we basically just sent you to the back office, and that was a mistake because you explain how that went.
I can't really remember how it went, to be honest. Like, much of that was a phase.
I'll describe it then.
Collapsed and leaned against multiple objects throughout several months that I was ill.
This is several months, by the way. Actually, no, it's like nearly a year, I think.
It went on for 8 months total, from the first time I was like, up all night to having my surgery.
Yeah. So I remember at the unnamed builders merchants, we used to get like every 2 days, like 10 pallets of stuff would show up, and you'd have to tick all of the boxes and say it was all there. And so Shaun used to like methodically go through the whole lot. And so part of that was that Shaun used to climb into these crates, and they were like 7 foot tall. You could get in them and you couldn't then get out of them. So you would empty it all out, throw it into the next crate, and you would just like dismantle the crate as you went along. Now, me and the manager were like, where the hell is Shaun? He has been missing for like 3 hours. Where the flipping hell is he? We're not going to swear in this podcast, so I stopped myself then. And I was like, where is Shaun? Where could he be? And I came out into the back warehouse, and I just heard, and lo and behold, you had just passed out. You just had completely collapsed in the crate.
Yeah, pretty much.
I thought you were going to die. You just completely collapsed.
I remember there was I didn't learn my lesson, because I remember when I had like 4 months actually off as well, when it was like...
Yeah, you had 4 months of sick pay.
Yeah, and then I came back after my surgery, and it was like 4 weeks where I couldn't do any heavy lifting sort of thing. And I was going through the stock, and I'd done the same thing. I just went into the crate and then couldn't lift myself out because of the pain of the surgery. Had to call me.
You called me, but I didn't answer my mobile. So you called the branch phone number and then had to wait for everybody to be off the phone. So you were on hold with your manager, and then you got through to me, and I was like, blah, 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 Harry speaking, how can I help? And you just went, it's Shaun, I'm stuck again.
Stuck in a crate.
You had just collapsed again.
Well, I couldn't lift myself out because of the fucking...
I know, and the doctor literally told you, do not do any heavy lifting, do not strain your body. And the third day back at work, you climbed into a 7 foot tall crate. And then you were on hold for like 5 minutes. It was so funny.
Well, I wasn't doing any heavy lifting until I had to lift myself.
I know, and that was the trouble, because you couldn't lift the crate walls off. So you just sat there resigned to the fact that, well, I'm going to die here, so that's it.
I hope they check out back before they shut up.
God, it was so funny. We haven't actually explained what was wrong with you. Shaun had gallstones, but they were like undiagnosed for like 6 months. And then when they were diagnosed, they left it too long, so your gallbladder expanded, and then if they operated on you, you'd die because it would burst and give you sepsis.
It was pretty much. It was the first.
Didn't it like
GP
stick to another organ?
Yeah, that's what it was in the end. It was the first GP that I went to basically refused to do anything to check for gallstones, despite me saying it's probably gallstones.
Yeah, you're
then
like,
the
I've
second
done the
GP,
research. I've given myself an X-ray. It's gallstones.
I was getting to that point. Basically, everything pointed to gallstones, and they were refusing because of my age. And then the other GP I went to...
Is that actually what it was, just because of your age?
Pretty much, yeah.
Because you were throwing up bile.
Oh, literally every day. I couldn't eat.
Yeah. You were throwing up like black sick for like 9 months, and they were like, well, it's probably just, a case of the black lung.
He's got the black lung plague.
Yeah, all that mining that he does down in the coal mines, he's just coughing it up. It's fine. But yeah, that went on for 9 months, and you nearly died.
Yeah, pretty much. The second GP, this is where I actually genuinely got angry, and I very rarely get angry. He thought it was heartburn and prescribed me Gaviscon.
I remember that. I remember you coming into work, and I was like,
"What?"
I was like, "Shaun, so what's the situation? Surgery?" And you're like, "Gaviscon. They've given me heartburn pills."
For a pain I remember nowhere near my chest.
I remember you had the Gaviscon. You ate one of the Gaviscons, and 10 minutes later, it must have fizzed up and bubbled up, and you just threw it back up.
Oh, it made it worse.
Just instantly,
it made it so much
he
worse.
just instantly threw it back up. That was amazing.
But then it gets worse from every visit. It gets worse because then I finally managed to get an ultrasound booked, and it showed gallstones. The person doing the ultrasound was like, "You're riddled with gallstones." So I was like, "Oh, okay, we'll finally get somewhere." Got a phone call from a GP.
Riddled.
Like, "Yeah, we see the gallstones, but we don't think that's causing the pain, so we're just going to ignore that."
Riddled. He's riddled with the gallstones. Oh. He's got the gallstones. Oh.
But yeah, so then it went on for about 4 months after that of just waiting for my GP to get back to me, and they never did, about what they actually think it is.
And then luckily, you were walking downtown in Plymouth, and you just went, "Oh shit!" And then you just nearly died.
Yeah, pretty much. I collapsed in Plymouth, got taken to Hereford. They done an ultrasound themselves because Torbay Hospital wouldn't send them their original ultrasound. So they done it. We're like, "Yeah, he's even more riddled now at this point." And
have some more
put me into surgery. Yeah. I was on morphine, drip into my veins, morphine for a week. But yeah, they couldn't do it straight away because it got so inflamed that it was sticking to other organs, apparently.
And I think that just sums you up quite well, Shaun. Just a mess. Just a mess of a human. You're just like a bag of mashed potato on legs, basically.
Pretty much. Barely on legs anymore these days.
I know, on one leg with no ankle.
Yeah. Morphine was good.
You're basically just Mr. Potato Head. That's
a mix between that and Mr. Blobby.
Oh, how did Mr. Blobby get through the TV executives? I mean, I watched it the other day and it terrified me. The 90s were a completely different time. They were just a mad time. Imagine pitching the idea of a giant 8-foot inflatable pink monster with yellow spots that wears a bow tie that hangs around with Noel Edmonds that screams at people.
With the most horrific synthesized voice possible.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense. It genuinely doesn't make sense. I mean, with me having the little one now, he's 14 months old now, so he's just at the point where he can recognise TV shows. And on TV, there's the weirdest stuff. In the Night Garden is just like Teletubbies on crack. It's the most bizarre. There's a thing called a Ninky Nonk, and there's a flying spaceship that farts, and you've got these Pontypine things that live in a small house. It's just so bizarre. I mean, I don't think TV was that weird when we were growing up, but something is wrong with kids' TV these days. It is mental. And it's taken me having a baby to realise that. But we've banned Peppa Pig from our house. We are a Peppa-free house. We're all about
Peppa-free.
Dougie. You'll get there one day, Shaun. Don't worry, and you will be all about Dougie.
I'll be sticking Pokemon on. Ain't no modern day kids TV for me.
Well, we will talk about Pokemon slightly later when we do our little sponsor read. Because we do have somebody that we are going to talk about today, one of the content creators, and he's got something quite exciting coming up related to Pokemon, which we will talk about. Now, we haven't done a podcast for quite a while, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to really swiftly move on. So I'm going to do this really nice segue between our segments. So
you can do a whooshing noise.
So I'm going to be So Emil Heskey and gallstones. That's sort of like talking about Christmas memories. I mean, how do you get from Heskey? How do you get from Heskey to a Facebook post about Christmas games? You can't, can you? So I'm just going to be blunt.
I don't
tried
know.
thinking of
One of them's about playing Left 4 Dead, and I kind of look like some of the zombies on there when I gallstones.
I've been trying to think for the last 3 days how I'm going to link Emil, Heskey, and gallstones to somehow talking about video games at Christmas.
The Left 4 Dead one. I was a boomer, basically.
You were basically, your
Boomer
gallbladder
bile.
was a boomer. Now, we aren't going to talk about all of the comments on the posts. You can probably hear a cat in the background of my recording right now. We're not going to go through all of the comments. We did get a really good amount of comments on there. I'm going to go through some of my favourites. Shaun, I don't know if you've got the post up on your phone as well.
Yep.
But the one that I really, really liked, it was the Assassin's Creed post that James Tom put on, mainly because I absolutely loved Assassin's Creed growing up. It was the first game that I ever pre-ordered. It was also Assassin's Creed 3 was the first game that I ever pre-ordered a special edition. So I got the silver container with all the added artwork and the soundtrack. And so I've got like fond memories of Assassin's Creed. And James said that every other year he would get a limited edition Assassin's Creed game under the tree. He knew that he was getting one for roughly 6 months, but he wasn't allowed to open it until the actual day. And now I'm not very Christmassy. I am Christmassy this year because I've got my little boy. So
You've got no choice.
Become something very different. It's become something very different for me this year. I'm still a bit of a Scrooge, but nowhere near where I was 2 or 3 years ago, as Shaun can attest. But that memory of just knowing that there was a specific game under the tree, that game for me was Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I know that my mum bought it from Blockbusters because she asked me which Grand Theft Auto game she wanted to buy. And I do remember having to wait 2 months until I could play this game. So, James, I've got a lot of time for that. I do vividly remember anticipating opening a game that I knew was under there, but I also didn't want to ever open it first. I wanted to be like, oh, maybe I don't know that it's there, and I'll open, some colouring books, and a pair of socks. Oh, and Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Cool, I totally wasn't expecting that. So I liked that comment. That did remind me of some good times. One of the other ones that I liked was from Joe Granell, who I work with. So, hello, Joe. He's a little bit older than us. He's in his 40s. He's slightly older. He said he was about 12 years old, maybe 14. He's quite old, so he can't remember the years these days. He said he remembers coming downstairs and there being a big present from his mum. He had to open it last. His mum wouldn't let him open it first, and he opened up, and this is really where he shows his age. It was a Nintendo Entertainment System with a bazooka blaster, which I think is amazing because nobody makes ancillaries for games anymore. I mean, who is making dance mats and Guitar Hero controllers anymore? Nobody. So I really like the idea that he had a bazooka blaster for Christmas. That's amazing. And Shaun, have you got any that you want to quickly read out?
Yeah, I did actually look at that one because it reminded me of one of my Christmases. I'll go into it in a bit, but sorry, there was the one below it, Gary, with playing Pokemon on my Game Boy Advance SP Tribal Edition. Got to take that with me on Xmas Day. It's one of my other Xmas's as well was Pokemon Sapphire, which was actually my first Pokemon game I owned myself. And
what did you have a timeshare with the neighbours on Pokemon Blue?
No, I'd play the kids at primary school, play their games because I wasn't allowed it myself until around Sapphire time. And then I got my Game Boy Advance and Sapphire, and literally did not stop playing it.
And
that's
the
why
tribal
Sapphire's my favourite one as well.
The tribal aspect of the SP, it just set it aside from everything else. I mean, I look at pictures of the SP Tribal now, and it's hideous. But at the time, it was like the pinnacle of cool. I mean, you'd just be showing it off like, oh, this is just my tribal SP. And like you genuinely felt like it was the pinnacle of technology.
Oh, you're on top of the world.
Yeah. I mean, they put a backlight in a Game Boy and then flipped it. I mean, it's amazing. So yeah, no, I do really appreciate that one as well. There is one more comment that I did really like. And it's probably going to be the one that I think will win the prize. And it's Paddy. Have you read this one?
I'm just scrolling. Where?
So I remember getting a GameCube one year, and it being my first console to connect by SCART after having a few older consoles where you had to manually tune your TV to pick up the image. Now, am I daft? I don't remember ever doing that. I do not remember tuning my TV to get the image, and I feel like Paddy is the same age as me.
I remember doing it for the PS1, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, fair enough. I don't remember that. So
I swear I remember having to tune it, and it taking forever to find the image.
See, now I don't remember that, and this is why it sort of confused me a bit, because Paddy says, I remember getting a GameCube one year, and it being my first console to connect by SCART, I spent a good couple of months searching for the right channel to tune it into. I was getting really frustrated after being so excited to play it before stumbling across the input channel after pressing the wrong button on the TV remote. I replied back to him and said, so once you realised how the SCART function worked, what was your first game you played? And he said, Luigi's Mansion. He was blown away by the smoothness of the character compared to the N64. I privately messaged Paddy, because I know him anyway, he's done a few tattoos for me. It took him like 3 months to realise that the SCART lead was something. I thought he was going to be like, oh, on the 29th of December I realised. No, it took him like a good 3 months to realise that he had to plug the SCART lead in. So can you imagine being his mum and buying your son a GameCube and being like, oh, he must not like it. He must really hate it. I spent like £190 on that thing, and it's just sat there collecting dust. So I don't know about you, Shaun, but that is my favourite comment on the entire segment. And so if you are happy and I am happy, I think that Paddy wins the prize, and we'll message him privately about that, because we don't want people to know how cheap we are.
No,
so
of course not.
Thank you very much for the Christmas memories. It did genuinely bring back some great memories.
What was your best Christmas memory?
My best Christmas memory was... I remember walking downstairs. It's not to do with games. I remember walking downstairs when I was like 6 years old and seeing my dad on the sofa eating the mince pies, drinking a beer, saying, oh, you've just missed him. And then I went back up to bed. And I remember being really like, I missed him.
Nuts.
No.
By seconds.
That's so, he must have just been here. That's so annoying. Now, I didn't really get video games for Christmas until I was about 15. I'm going to give you 5 guesses. So 15 was 13 years ago. What game do you think I got for my Christmas that year? Just have a guess, around like the 2007 to 2009 time. What sort of games were coming out then that you think I may have got for the 360?
Viva Pinata.
No, not Viva Pinata. Bought that one myself, pre-owned.
Okay. Rockstar Table Tennis.
Not Rockstar Table Tennis, although that is a rock solid game and I still play it on the Series X. Not Rockstar Table Tennis.
What other 360 games are there? I think this came out later than it, but Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts.
Not Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. Shall I tell you the first game that I remember being bought for Christmas?
Yes.
Take That, SingStar.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Do you want to know the really funny thing about it? Is that my mum used to hide all the Christmas presents under her bed. And I knew that she hid them under her bed, so she moved them to her cupboard. But she set up like a contraption in her cupboard so she would know if I had been in the cupboard to try and spy on the games she'd bought me. And she realised, oh, he's seen everything that he's getting for Christmas. So she then, knowing how much I love Take That, threatened to take back SingStar Take That with the microphone, and I cried. I was 15 years old, and I cried because my mum wanted to take back SingStar Take That, and I cried.
We had that.
You know what? Actually, I might cut this out of the podcast. You know, actually, I'm editing this one, so this might not make it. No, I'll keep it in. It shows my vulnerable side, doesn't it? It shows how vulnerable I am. But yeah, that was the first game I remember being bought for me on Christmas, and I thought, you know what? I'm not going to share that story on the Facebook. I'll just share it on a podcast instead. But yeah, that's my sort of like Christmas gaming memory. What's yours, Shaun?
Mine is going back to the getting consoles and that for Christmas. Mine was when I got the Game Boy Advance, and it's probably the most twisty ups and downs sort of Christmas morning I had, because
why?
There was, parents always, they like to play
I know parents. I'm aware of them. I am one.
No, but they play pranks on the kids for Christmas when they know.
Oh yeah.
That
I know.
Something.
Like my dad played this really good prank where he just left, and that was hilarious.
But mine didn't go that far for the Game Boy Advance, but they did.
Enough.
They done it so I opened a couple of games up first. So I opened Pokemon Sapphire and that. So obviously I was getting really excited, thinking that I'm gonna open up the Game Boy Advance last. And it got to last present. It was Game Boy Advance size box. Opened it. Those old shampoo bottles you used to get where you could push the button and it would have little rings inside, and it was basically like a ring game. It was a Game Boy Advance shaped one of them.
Oh my god!
And the heartbreak I went through in the next couple of minutes before they brought the actual console out was amazing. I'm pretty sure I was close to tears.
I can just imagine your face dropping. But the thing is, Shaun, is that you're so nice that you would have just been like, "Oh, great, thank you for this."
I did start playing it as well.
Oh my god!
You know what my dad's like? He managed to stay serious throughout the whole thing. He was "That's the one you wanted, right?" It's yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I just try and match the rings on the balls.
I'll just put Pokemon into the water bit.
Oh man.
Oh, but yeah, that's my Christmas gaming memory.
That just sums up you as a person and your dad as a person just completely perfectly. I can imagine him just going, "That's the one you wanted, right?" I can just imagine.
Don't run the juice out of it all at once.
Don't run the juice out of it all at once, please. Oh, that is amazing. That's incredible. Well, that's a nice memory. That's a fond memory that you can take with you. That you were so nice that you did not want to disappoint your family after they bought you a Game Boy shaped, basically
shampoo.
Ball in a cup game.
It was a shampoo bottle basically with the ring toss sort of game on it.
That's amazing. Oh, I think Shaun. I think you actually win. I think you win the prize. So, sorry, Paddy. You're done. We're stealing the prize. Shaun's won the prize, and it was an amazing prize as well. Prize. Yeah.
Yes.
It was and what's really bizarre is that the actual prize itself was just a shampoo bottle Game Boy. So it's just really amazing that story won the prize.
I get to relive the nightmare all over again.
Oh, I think we need to talk about nightmares. I think that we need to talk about a current nightmare that is happening. And you know that this is a ridiculous segue that I'm trying to do now. But the reason that I'm pushing it this way is because I've just seen a post by CD Projekt Red. And it's really, really got my goat a little bit. So, as some people may or may not know, Cyberpunk 2077 has just launched. Now, we aren't going to be talking on authority about this game because myself and Shaun have both agreed that as we game share, we will be waiting for the next gen version to come out before we play it, and that we will go halves on it digitally so that we can both play it at the same time. But we want to wait until the next gen version is out, mainly because the current AAA gaming market releases games in an unfinished state, and also I don't want to play the game as it isn't meant to be. Would you say that's a fair statement?
Yeah, for me personally, it's mainly because I know with the small amount of time I have now to play games, I'm going to get like one playthrough out of it in the next like year or so. So I know, and I mean the best version.
We're playing Valhalla at the moment. We're both really enjoying that, and it looks amazing. And yeah, it's a bit buggy and a bit glitchy, and it's not the best game, but the combat's good fun, and it's just nice to play. So we thought we'd swerve Cyberpunk just for the time being, and I'm very, very happy that we have done. Now, one of the segments that we want to do for the show is something called the hype drain, because the games industry these days, it seems to be that people are more excited about trailers than they are about actually playing a game. And I don't want to sound cynical. I don't want to sound like I'm saying that you can't get excited for a game. But I think what Cyberpunk has showed is that there is a limit to that. And a lot of good is coming out of Cyberpunk, but also a lot of really bad things is coming out of it. One of the main things I want to talk about is crunch, because crunch has been normalised in the gaming industry recently, especially in the last sort of like 5 or 6 years. And there are some companies that seem to be able to get away with it. EA and Activision, they cannot get away with crunch. Whenever the word is mentioned and it's an EA project or a Activision project or a Blizzard project, straight away people jump on the attack saying it's disgusting work ethics, you can't be expecting people to work 70-hour weeks. For some reason, CD Projekt Red, they can get away with it. Their staff members have been working, 70-hour weeks for the last 6 months, I think, Shaun? Is that right?
I think it's around that, yeah, from what I remember.
The main argument that people have is, they're all working from home, which isn't an argument because I've worked from home recently, and it doesn't mean that you just sit and watch TV in your pants all day. It doesn't. They're still working. They're pushing 70-hour weeks, entire teams, crunching for months. And what happened when they delayed the game from November to December, Shaun?
Crunch.
And not just crunch. Death threats. Devs were being sent death threats by the so-called fans of Cyberpunk because a video game was delayed by 3 weeks. And so basically they said that the reason that they're delaying the game is because it isn't optimized enough for the consoles, and they're just going to need to make a few more tweaks just to get it right. And that's fair enough. You know, if you need to delay the game at the last minute, it's better to launch it fixed than it is to launch it broken. Shaun, how's the launch gone for Cyberpunk so far?
Broken is pretty much the main. It depends what platform though, but PC seems to be all right, depending on what
PC
the build is.
seems to be the most stable, depending on the build of the PC and also on the in-game settings. So if things like motion blur and film grain are turned off, it seems to run a lot smoother. On the consoles, however, it's a very different story. There are people saying that, you know, they're going through the epilogue where the NPCs are non-existent. They're going through Night City and there's maybe 3 NPCs. NPCs clip through walls, they vanish, they float off. There's one of my favourite ones that I've seen is that all of the advertising boards for one person's game just said debug, which is amazing.
I saw that. It was it only fixed it if they went into photo mode or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, so they had to go into photo mode and then it fixed it, but then as soon as they left photo mode, it just said debug again. And there is an argument that they had to release this game because it ties into the tabletop 2020. That ain't good enough. The game is not finished. The game is not in a good state. CDPR's stock price has fallen 12.5%. And there's a lot of angry people. But ironically, those same angry people that are pretty annoyed that the game was released in this state, a lot of them are the same people that sent death threats to devs. So they couldn't really win. If they had delayed it again, it would have caused havoc with the fan base, and they've released it in a state that just isn't good enough. And the reason that I'm bringing it up now, Shaun, is because Cyberpunk in the last hour have released something called New Hotfix. Have you heard this?
No, I haven't heard this.
So, Hotfix 1.04. I'm going to read it verbatim. New hotfix to Cyberpunk 2077 is now live on PlayStation consoles and PC. For Xbox systems, we are working to have the update out as soon as possible.
Okay. So basically just got to wait for Microsoft's approval sort of thing with when they put.
So when the devs were talking about this game 6 months ago, they said specifically that the console versions would be running on their own engine and that it would be completely optimized for consoles. And that's just an outright lie. It just hasn't happened. And what's really frustrating is that there's a lot of valid criticism of this game that is currently being sort of disregarded as, well, they don't know what they're talking about, they're not real gamers, they're not even good journalists, and it's a bit annoying because most of the people are saying that, technically speaking, from like a story point of view, the game's quite good. Like it's a 7 or 8 out of 10. Like it's not a bad game, and people see 7s and they think that they're 2s, and then everybody gets on their backs to say this is the best game ever, and it hadn't launched. There were people coming out who had played 50 hours of this game saying, like, yeah, I like it, but it sort of forces you to do things that maybe you shouldn't have to do, and a lot of the character building is for no reason, and a lot of the missions don't really go anywhere, and they were all told, well, you're just not playing it properly, by people who haven't played it, and you just haven't played it properly.
Yeah.
And you don't know what you're talking about, and you're not a very good journalist. And I know I've only read the headline, and I didn't listen to the 40-minute video of you explaining your points quite concisely, but I've already decided that you're wrong, and this is the greatest game ever. And now, because of that, these valid criticisms are sort of being brushed aside, and it's now got to a point where an epileptic games journalist came out and said that as much as she loves the game, it's not very accessible for people with her form of epilepsy. And fans started sending her videos of flashing lights to try and trigger her epilepsy because they didn't like the fact that she dared criticize this beloved game that hadn't even launched. And it's just a bit annoying.
It's more than a bit annoying, but yeah.
It sort of killed my anticipation for this game now. I'm more than happy to just not play this game now. I was really genuinely excited. I think it's an amazing premise. I think they've done as best a job as they could in the time, but they needed to delay it again. And unfortunately, they're in a situation where it was a double-edged sword because they couldn't delay it, and they had to release it. And now they are frantically crunching over the Christmas period to try and get this game to be in a playable state on console. And it's just a bit frustrating, really. I don't know if you feel the same as me, Shaun.
No, yeah, I feel pretty much the same. It seems like overall, it's design-wise, it is a really good game. It's just the technical side that's letting it down, really. Like, it's poorly optimized for consoles and some PCs, depending on what your build is. So it seems like it is just technical side. But then, yeah, with the opinion some people have, like saying that the crafting's not that good, or some of the combat situations force you to play one way when you want your character build to be another way. They're valid opinions.
I think that the opinion that I saw is that this game was sold to people as like, you choose who you are, you do you, and the game will then change around you. And there's a lot of times in this game where it doesn't do that, and that's a valid criticism. And look, we haven't played this game, so we're just going off anecdotal reviews, but that seems to be the general gist, is that people are enjoying the game, but it just isn't this perfect be-all and end-all game that will just solve the gaming crisis of boring games. Like, it's an okay game with some technical issues, and I think that that's fine. I think that that's totally fine.
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be people that aren't going to enjoy the design side of it at all, and there's going to be people that find it's their like most favorite game ever made, and that. But it's personal preference. Opinions. Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
if I don't get when people feel they have to hate someone for having a different opinion on them for a game, because if everyone had the same opinion for games, we wouldn't have as many different genres of games that we do today.
I know, and I mean, look at
Because
us.
it would all be the exact same games.
In terms of our personalities and our sense of humour, we're quite like in sync. But when it comes to games, we're completely different. Dark Souls, I have tried multiple times to get into those games, and I just cannot get into Dark Souls. Platformers are sort of your jam, and they're not really my jam. You know, different people, different opinions. I really like Take That SingStar. Shaun maybe doesn't like Take That SingStar. That's fine, you know.
I'll take a Slipknot version if they do one of them, but I'll stay clear of Take That.
I don't think that they did, but we'll look into it. You know, we'll try and get Slipknot on the podcast and ask them why they didn't ever do a SingStar.
We'll pay them 50 quid.
Yeah,
do
that'll be fine. Yeah, 50 quid. That'll be fine. We'll get Emil Heskey to sing some Slipknot. That'll be fine.
Although we did have Guitar Hero Metallica, which I really liked.
Yeah, see, I didn't really like Guitar Hero Metallica because it was at that point where there was about 900 Guitar Hero games. But I think that Cyberpunk is going to be a good game, but at the moment it's just sort of, it's not finished, and I think that people have some valid criticisms about the state of its release that shouldn't be ignored because you don't like those opinions. But, you know, that's just two idiots talking on a pretty rubbish podcast. But, you know, I'm sure that we'll play it and we'll enjoy it because I do love in-depth RPGs. I just think that maybe a reality pill needed to be taken before launch for this game, but that's just me.
The technical issues with it are inexcusable, sort of thing. Like, you can't deny that it doesn't have technical issues, but then the actual game design itself is just purely opinion, so that's going to vary from person to person anyway. The only thing we've got to hope that doesn't happen, which I imagine they won't, is once the next gen upgrade comes out, they sort of just slowly forget about fixing the last gen, like base PS4 and base Xbox One console.
Well, I don't think that will happen because they carried on optimizing. And look, CD Projekt Red have made some amazing games. Witcher 3 is one of the best games ever made for people that like Witcher 3, and I'm not one of those people. But I can't deny that it was a fantastic game for a lot of people, and they supported the 360 version of that game. It was 360, wasn't it, that it launched on? They
think it was Xbox One.
Oh, was it Xbox One? Oh, no, sorry, I'm thinking of Witcher 2. They supported Witcher 2 like 3 years after launch. So they've got history of supporting their games long term, and they are still supporting Witcher 3. I think there was a Witcher 3 update maybe a month ago, so they're still supporting that game.
And even that was very buggy at launch. So
yeah, it was.
There's a precedent that's been set that they will do right by Cyberpunk with support for all the technical issues.
And that is one of the things that I will not admit, but I will come out and say that I have every faith that CDPR will fix the game. I have absolutely no doubt about it, but I think that maybe the gaming world wanted Cyberpunk more than Cyberpunk was ready, and that's a bit of a shame. And I hope that going forward, it doesn't then tarnish what could be a fantastic game. And they've already said, you know, in Q1 of next year, they're going to be launching a substantial free DLC with story-driven aspects. So they're doing all the right things. It's just at the moment, it's a little bit worrying. But, you know, they'll get there.
Yeah, they'll get there eventually. It's just a bit of a sorry state at the moment if you come across any of the bugs.
And look,
not many seem to be game-breaking, which, I mean, doesn't excuse the amount of bugs, but still,
no,
at least
because
it's not game breaks everywhere, sort of thing.
Watch Dogs Legions, currently on Xbox Series X, is unplayable because of a game-breaking bug that means that you cannot save the game. And that has not been addressed now for 3 weeks. I think,
the last I heard was there was going to be a patch to fix it this month at some point.
Yeah, so they've known about this bug now for 3 weeks, and their time frame is December 31st to get it fixed by. So, look, there's a precedent for developers to not fix games, but CDPR, I have no doubt that they'll fix this. And we've been playing Valhalla, and Valhalla is anything but a completed game. I have come across several bugs, several issues, nothing game breaking, but like poor AI, horse AI going all over the place, combat not working all the time, staircases not always working. So I've had a few technical issues with Valhalla, but nothing to the extent of CDPR. And I did want to talk about Valhalla just for a couple of minutes, because we've both been playing it. How far along are you now? Are you out into England yet?
I literally just got to England at about 4 o'clock this afternoon.
So you're probably at the same place as me, because I just got to England and went down the river and started fighting some bandits. I'd
done my first raid and that was it.
Yeah, so we're at basically the same place. I spent about 15 hours just exploring, just walking around a beautiful world that looked incredible. I spent as much time in photo mode as I did actually doing combat missions. I explored every cave, every nook and cranny of the map that I could possibly go to without instantly dying, and I haven't felt like that in a game for a long time. I just genuinely had fun, and I understood that it wasn't a masterpiece of a game, but I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good fun, and the combat's quite nice. The scenery looks incredible. The voice acting's not great, but I'm having fun, and that's all I care about. And I've not had just unfiltered fun in a game like that for quite a long time, to be fair. Probably since Sunset Overdrive was the last time I enjoyed a world as much as I enjoy the world of Valhalla.
Yeah, I must admit, I explored this game, the open world of this game, probably more than any other I have in recent years that I can remember.
I mean, I'm a huge Assassin's Creed fan. I'm a massive Assassin's Creed fan, and I have never explored an Assassin's Creed world as much as I have explored one small area of the epilogue of a game before. I had to turn over every rock and climb every building and look at every mountain. It was just incredible. And I'm more excited just to see the world that the game is creating rather than the story. The story for me is secondary. I just want to go and climb up tall buildings and look at things. And I know that sounds really sad, but that's what I'm looking forward to.
No, I was saying, when I first started it last week, there was a mission where I had to get on my longboat and sail back home, but it was on the other side of the map, home was. And I was like, I can do a couple of side missions while I'm here, so I don't have to sort of backtrack later. And ended up walking from this one town all the way over to the actual village I was supposed to go to for home, just doing side missions on the way, and realised I'd left the longboat all the way on the other side of the map, so I had to... Well, I didn't have to. You told me that I could just call the longboat after, but I quick travelled and sailed my way back home.
I think one of the things that I like the most is that Valhalla doesn't tell you to do things. So there's one mission where you messaged me saying there's this guy who said about a beast, killing a beast, and the game doesn't tell you what to do. You could completely miss that. What you have to do is you have to go and get wolves to chase you to bring them back to this person so that he can fight one of the wolves. In previous Assassin's Creed games, it would have told you, go here, do this, follow this marker, go and I think the thing that I'm enjoying the most about Valhalla is if you don't pay attention to it, then you'll miss something. And that goes quite well actually into a little bit that I wanted to do where we describe the differences between how we play games. And you know exactly what I'm going to say now, don't you?
Yeah.
So, Shaun, what did you message me?
I messaged you that I was in this village and there was a building that had a treasure chest inside it, but the doors are barred. And in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, if the door's barred, you have to basically shoot or smack the locks off from the other side. So I had to get in the building some way to get the treasure chest, and then I could smack the locks and just walk out. Couldn't find a way into the building. Spent literally about half an hour just circling this one building. Climbed
Just
onto the roof,
walking
looked
around the same building over and over again, yeah?
Yeah, half an hour.
Pressing the right stick in, seeing that the treasure's in there, not knowing what to do. Your last resort, I know, Harry will save the day.
Harry's been playing this too.
Harry, who's had Xbox Live for 9 years and has 13,000 gamer score, he'll save the day. And so I said, oh yeah, you just shoot out the top bit with an arrow and you just climb through. And do you know how I found that out, Shaun?
How?
I walked around the building 3 times and said, oh, I can't get in there. And then I went on YouTube. And I think that perfectly sums up the difference in how we play games. I'm too impatient. That's why I don't like Dark Souls. Because I get to a boss and he kills me 3 times and I'm like, well, I'm never ever going to be able to beat this boss ever. So I'm just going to end now. I walked around that building 3 times and I was like, I'm sure that somebody else has got a video. Oh, they have. Yeah, there's like 9,000 videos of someone at the same building as me. Cool. And you walked around a building for half an hour.
30 bloody minutes.
30 minutes.
I must admit, though, I don't know if it's just because I've got more patience or if it's because it kind of feels like cheating looking on YouTube, because on the PS5, they've got the new like card UI menu where you can have like hints in there. And I found...
I've not known about that.
Oh yeah, if you press the like what is there guide button, it comes up with little cards, and it's basically like trophies left to do or progress in a level, and you can like look for tips in that. And when me and Linktree have been playing Sackboy, you've got these orbs you have to collect in each level, and there's like between 2 and 5 orbs per level. And I've found so far, whenever we finished a level, if we're a couple orbs short, I just straight away press the guide button, look at the card, and watch the video of where the orb's located, because it doesn't feel like cheating, because the developers
the
have
game's
put
telling you
that guide button in.
Yeah, see, for me, I don't care about that, and I just want to play a game. So I just go on my phone and just type in YouTube. It's funny because we're a very loosely based Xbox themed podcast. As you can tell, we've spoken about the Xbox so much so far. We do have a segment later on where we will speak about Xbox. But one of the main reasons that a lot of people used to play Xbox was because of the achievements. People didn't like trophies. The PS3, when it launched, didn't have trophies, and people wanted those achievements. I could not care less about achievements. I don't care what my gamer score is. I don't care if I pick a game up and get a 1-point gamer score or I get 1,000 points in it. And I have friends who obsess over their gamer score, and they will buy Mary Kate and Ashley's Adventure because they know they can get 1,000 gamer points in it and get the refund through Xbox before the trial period ends. I don't care. I like the ping it makes. I got an achievement the other day in Valhalla because I slid down a mountain 150 meters, and I'm in 0.7% of people that play the game got that achievement, and I was like, huh, that's quite cool. And then that was my reaction, and I couldn't care less anymore. Are you an achievement sort of collector?
No, I don't go out of my way to get them, I must admit. I don't care about achievements at all. But strange enough, trophies I kind of do. If it's a game I really enjoy, and I think, because I've tried to figure this out before, I think it's because of the way trophies work with the platinum trophy. If you get everything, whereas on Xbox, if you get all the achievements, there's nothing that like says, "Oh, you got all the achievements. You've done everything in this game," sort of thing. You just sort of the last achievement pops up. You're like, "That's all of them."
Ah, cool. It's done. That's the last one.
Yeah, whereas PlayStation, because there's a trophy specifically just for getting every other trophy, it feels more, I don't know, more conclusive? Or more like closure to it?
Yeah, so you get a bit of closure, you get a final, like, now
yeah,
I've
you
done
know
everything.
that
a bit of like catharsis to it.
Yeah, you know that if you see a platinum trophy on someone's profile, it's because they've got every trophy in that game. That's the only thing platinum trophies used for, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
I
if,
mean,
if it's a game I like and I like complete it and then I look and I'm like, oh, I'm close to platinum, I will get the platinum, but I won't go out
yeah.
of my way
See,
to get platinum in every game I play.
I have never got 1,000 gamer score in a game ever. And when I had a PS3, I never once got a platinum trophy. For me, completing a game means I don't have fun with it anymore. So there are games like Rockstar Table Tennis. I still play that, and that was launched over a decade ago, and I'm still having fun with it. I've only got like 4 achievements in that game. I think I technically would probably classify as the worst player of Rockstar Table Tennis ever, because in like the 13 years I've been playing it, I'm averaging like an achievement every 5 years. So I'm probably like the worst player of that game ever. But dude, I like it. It's fun. I mean, I like pinging the pongs, so that's all I care about.
Yeah, it's good fun. We done the I can't remember what series we used to call it. It was basically Let's Plays. We done it over that.
Basically,
Was it Versus one?
Rooster Teeth did their Let's Plays, and then we called them Let's Watch, or it was like Versus something. I have no idea.
We had a Versus series because we played that goddamn Sega Bass Fishing.
Sega Bass Fishing, where I beat you like the bitch you are.
It was the first time I've ever played it. I lost by like 2 seconds.
I know, but I still beat you, so that's all that counts. So yeah, that sort of sums up segment 3. I'm really good at these segments. I don't know if you can tell.
Segment 3. On my notes, segment 3 is Cyberpunk. We've just been talking about Assassin's Creed.
No, because when we were talking before the podcast about Cyberpunk, we didn't want to go too much into Cyberpunk because neither of us have played the game. And then I said, I'll tell you what, we'll bring up some stuff about Valhalla, which works. It's fine.
Yeah.
I think that's a perfectly reasonable and fine segue from Cyberpunk to Assassin's Creed to my mate Tom. I mean, how else are we supposed to segue from Assassin's Creed Valhalla to my mate from primary school who's going to dress up as a slowpoke?
I don't know, we could have done it from a Game Boy Advance Pokemon Sapphire story, though.
Oh, we could have. I'll tell you what. Shaun, do you like the Game Boy Advance?
Yeah, I love Game Boy Advance. I got one for Christmas one year. I remember
Really?
That. Got yeah.
Your dad didn't
opened
play
all the
the
games
trick. Your dad didn't play the trick where they put a shampoo bottle in there instead, did they?
He did, yeah.
No way. That is just classic acquaintance. That is. God.
Papa acquaintance.
I mean, that's just so Papa Q. Oh. I mean, I bet your dad really likes Emil Heskey as well, doesn't he?
Oh, I love him. That and Glenn Johnson.
Wrong segment. So yeah, one of the things that we really want to do as part of this podcast is we don't want to be sponsored, although, you know, HelloFresh, if you're listening, I'd love a sponsorship. We don't really want to be sponsored by people or companies because we know that we never will be, so we're not going to aim that high. But one of the things that we do really want to do is build a bit of a community, and we've got the Torbay Gaming Network, who have given us some amazing insights. They've helped us design logos, they've helped us come up with themes, with questions, with answers. We've thrown things at them, they've sent them back. They've probably got tired of us now because we've been going on for about 4 weeks and we just haven't released anything whatsoever other than a few pictures. And one of the people that we really do sort of want to get on board is my friend Tom. I went to primary school with him. I didn't really speak to him for about maybe 20 years. And then a month ago, I just randomly saw that he was streaming. And so I got in contact with him. I knew that the podcast was going to come up. And I think one of the ideas that we had was that we wanted to get like a local community of people together. And so I've been talking to Tom, I've been watching a lot of his streams, and they are genuinely really entertaining. And he is about to hit affiliate on Twitch. And he said that if he did reach affiliate status, one of the things he would do is dress up like a slowpoke for his next stream. So guys, check him out. We're going to put a post on our Facebook that will link to his Twitch account. it's really easy to find his Twitch account because he's called Stribblob. And I'm sure that he will comment on some stuff that we've got coming up, but we'll definitely put that link in there. So we just wanted to say thank you, Tom, for your support for the podcast, and that we look forward to sort of partnering up at some point, and we would really, really enjoy to have you on the show as well. I think it would be a really nice sort of juxtaposition, because Shaun, you know me from being really a bit of a, what's the polite word for what I was at primary school? No, at secondary school. Yeah, pretty much. And Tom knows me from primary school before I was, what was the word that you just used to describe me?
A dick.
Yeah, so we'll probably blur that out. But yeah, I think it'd be like a really funny juxtaposition where you can just tell Tom stories from me at secondary school, and he'll be like, "Oh, I remember that time where we went and played football, and then he cried because he didn't score enough goals." And I just think it'll be a nice juxtaposition where you two can basically just lay into me for an hour. So you've got that to look forward to.
A Harry roast episode.
Yeah, the roast of Harry. That'll be fun. I enjoy that. That'll be fine. I'll totally not cry. I mean, I've already said 3 times in this podcast about times I cried, so I'll try my best not to. We are coming to the end of this. I don't want to say this week's podcast because we cannot say that we're going to do a podcast every week. We're probably going to record one every 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, while we're getting our feet together.
But I think
when I'm getting my 1 foot together.
your 1 foot minus ankle.
Yes.
One of the things that I think we need to do is actually talk about the Xbox, because we are a loosely based Xbox podcast, and one of my favourite things about the Xbox is absolutely Game Pass. So Shaun, you've got 2 games that you want to play on Game Pass, and I'm going to decide which one you play. So what are the 2 games?
Yeah, I got 2 games. There's one I do kind of want to play more at the moment.
That was great audio, by the way. So just wanted to say thank you for when I'm editing the podcast later, and I just hear you make the same noise as when you were in the crate.
It was just a soundbite.
What are the 2 games?
The first one is Gears Tactics.
Okay.
Because I love everything Gears of War. Like I've got all the books in the sitting room,
which surprises me because you absolutely hate horror games. So the fact that you like Gears of War goes completely against the normal type of game that you would play.
Yeah, I think it's because it was the first game. Gears of War 1, when that first came out, was the first gory game I played and was like, I like this. And I think it just kind of stuck with me. And I
can just imagine you being in your room. It's like 2 a.m. You're killing all the locusts, and you just go, "Yeah, I like this." Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't have played it on my own at first. I was at our old friend Ryan's house because he had it.
Sorry, I don't know who that is. Sorry, who's Ryan? You mean the sound designer for Curiosity Studios? Right, okay.
We threw the birthday party for him and made the world's worst birthday banner.
We'll have to try and find a picture of that, and we will post it because it's ridiculous.
I'm sure I've got it somewhere saved still. But yeah, he had it.
Gears Tactics. So Gears Tactics is your first game that you would like to play.
Yes.
What is the second Game Pass game that you would like to play?
It is. I've got to make sure I get this name right. I'm pretty sure it's called Call of the Sea. I'm just going to double check.
Okay. I think it is Call of the Sea because I did see that earlier on when I was looking through current Game Pass games.
It is Call of the Sea, yeah. It was. Do
you know anything about Call of the Sea?
Yes, it's a game. When I saw the trailer for it I think it was a couple of months back now, I actually really wanted to play it then, and then it got announced as being released on Game Pass.
I'm going to quickly not listen while you explain what Call of the Sea is, because I want to play Call of the Sea and let you know if I like it, but I don't want to know what the game's about. So once you've finished talking about Call of the Sea, message me on Facebook and I'll put my headphones back on.
I mean, right? I don't know exactly what it's about. I just know like the rough overview, like a trailer would show you something.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's not do that bit then, because that that won't work. I mean, it's really not good podcasting to have the host of the podcast just stop listening to the thing that he's hosting. So, yeah, we won't do that. So you've got Gears Tactics or Call of the Sea.
Gears Tactics.
I'm going to say it. I want you to play Call of the Sea. Because you know what Gears Tactics going to be.
Yeah, I know.
You know what Gears Tactics going to be.
I've played the first 2 levels as well.
It's going to be... Oh, well, then you've already played it.
Yeah.
I know what game I want to play on Xbox Game Pass. And I want to dip my toes into Yakuza. So I'm going to play Yakuza 0. Because I think it looks cool. And apparently it's got one of the best game worlds. Just from a point of view of how full it is with things to do and the characters that are involved. And that's all I know, is that you just play a person who punches other people. So I'm looking forward to that. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I've been curious about playing Yakuza games. So I'll be interested to know what it's like.
I'll let you know how it goes. But the thing is I'm such an impatient gamer that if I get like 2 levels in and I can't beat the guy, I will say it's a bad game, and then I will never recommend Yakuza again.
You can't just come back on the next episode and be like, I got 2 levels in and didn't play anymore because I couldn't beat it.
Shaun, I feel like you don't know who I am.
And then I'll be
of
like...
Of course I'm going to do that.
I got stuck on this level on Call of the Sea for about 5 hours, but I managed to get through it.
Yeah, how did you get through it? I just circled a rock for 5 hours.
Swam in the water.
Yeah,
no, I'm looking
forward
to Call of the Sea.
Yeah, well, let me know how that goes along. What I don't want to do is do like reviews on the podcast. I want to just do like general chats about it. So we're not going to be scoring games. We're not going to be going too in depth about it. It's basically, was it fun? I think that's a good way to go about it. So was it fun? Yes or no?
Basically like a book club.
Yeah, but not because I don't read books, and you already know that about me.
Yeah, if it was a book club, it would be
It would be you reading books and me trying to find the film of the book and then not finding it and then declaring that it's not a good book because a film hasn't been made of it.
Reading the Wikipedia summary of it.
Yeah. Which is what I did for my... we're derailing so much. Yeah, we'll just wrap it up quickly, and I'll just quickly talk about my GCSE English exam. So, have I told you what I did for GCSE English?
I'm guessing it's going to be Wikipedia based now.
Well, no, it's not. It's even smarter than that, because the book that we had to read was Of Mice of Men.
Oh,
and
God.
There is a film of Mice of Men, and some people say that it is the closest representation between a book and a movie of all time. So I just watched the movie the night before my exam, and I got a B.
Wow.
Thus proving my point that if a book is good, they will make a film of it. Name a good book that hasn't got a film. There we go. See, didn't name one. I'm
trying to think of what
films.
Books I've read. No, Necronomicon. There's not really any films or any good Lovecraft films.
There's H.R. Geiger inspired films and Lovecraft inspired films. And look, there's that game coming out next year that's very, very heavily influenced by the Necronomicon. So
which one's that?
I can't remember what it's called right now, but it looks really gross. That's all I know about it.
Lovecraft's not always gross.
Really
though.
Gross.
It's very
try it.
Psychological.
Yeah, I know that it's very psychological, but if it was a good enough book, then they would have made a film about it. And clearly, the Necronomicon is not a good enough book, because where is Necronomicon the movie?
I want to see Legendary, the people that made Godzilla and Kong and all that, do a Cthulhu film. That would be awesome.
Well, we have got the South Park episodes with Cthulhu and the Coon. Are they not good enough?
No, I want a proper 2-hour Cthulhu. I don't want to say action film because it wouldn't be an action film. It would be like really creepy psychological horror.
The H.R. Geiger inspired game that is currently in production by Ebb Software is called Scorn.
Yeah, I remember you sending me the gameplay clip of that.
the only way that I can describe it, and this is really where the podcast gets great, because we're going to be describing how something looks via the medium of audio, is it looks wet.
It's true as well.
Yeah, it's a wet looking game. It looks a bit squishy. Like everything just like squelches. It's like
it looks like
it's like they were designing the game and they were like, right, as you're programming it, just like squeeze grapes between your toes and then code that into the game. And I feel like that's what they've done.
Yeah, it looks like you're walking on brains constantly.
Yeah. So again, my point is valid. If a book's good enough, they'll make other media of it.
I'm gonna now make it my mission to find a really good book that they haven't made into a film yet.
I'll tell you what, for the next podcast, you bring me a book that is good, that hasn't had a film made of it, and if I agree, then I will read that book if it's free on a Kindle.
There's a book you actually have that I am now trying to think if they ever made a film out of it.
Really? What's the book?
1984.
Yes, they did. And
Did
it
they?
had Peter Postlethwaite in it. Yeah,
Who
they
is
did.
that?
They did indeed. He's an actor.
Peter Postlethwaite.
Yeah, he's a famous actor. He was, in Inception, at the... spoiler alert. You know, when they go to the ice... the snowy mountain building, and the dude is in the bed, and then he incepts the guy. That's Peter Postlethwaite.
Okay, I just had to look up the name.
Yeah.
I actually know him.
He's
now.
a dude.
Yeah, I know him.
Yeah,
I can't
see?
believe that's his name.
Unlaugh yourself right now.
No, I can't. That name, Postlethwaite.
But yeah, no, 1984 is a book that I've read. I'll give you that. And it's a bloody good book. And
I didn't know there was.
they have made a film of it. They have indeed. Look, we're going to wrap this up. But before we wrap this up, we've got to end on a good news. So it's sort of good news and it's sort of bad news. This will be 2020 has been a bit of a wreck of a year, to be perfectly honest. And it's ending with the end of Flash Player. So Flash Player will be no more.
Its days are numbered.
And they are indeed. And there's some really good projects going on at the moment to try and salvage the Flash games that are still out there. But what was your go-to Flash game back in the day?
Oh, mine's got to be Tanks, because that was basically the summary of my business studies in GCSE and A-levels. And that was how Luke, our friend, both of our friends, that was how we got to know each other, because we were both in business studies and we were sat next to each other, and basically I started playing Tanks and then turned to him and was like, you want to play Tanks? And then we just played Tanks. That was it.
Do you want to play Tanks?
Tanks.
Yes, I want to play Tanks. And the rest is history.
Pretty much.
For me, it is N, the ninja game.
Oh,
where
man,
you just
I forgot about that.
jump up and down.
Yeah.
Or Line Rider.
Oh,
I
tough
absolutely
choices.
loved Line Rider.
Mm.
I'm going to say N. I played N more than anything else. And I figured out a way to host my own website and then install my own N Flash plugin into the website, and it avoided the
The school filters.
the school filters, so I
Wow.
could play N at school. Yeah,
Yeah, I forgot.
that was
about N.
my good memory.
They brought it out on Xbox Arcade as well.
They did N plus, and it was very good. And I remember getting N plus and playing the absolute bananas off of it, and I really enjoyed it.
So N.
So that's some good
N
news
and
to end on.
Tanks.
Some good memories. Some good memories. And I know that we did have a post on the Torbay Gaming Network about some good Flash game memories. We don't have time to go through them now, but there were some really good ones that we will talk about next time. So until then, I've been Harry. With me has been Shaun.
Yep.
And we're going to say goodbye. And thank you for listening. If anyone is still listening, which I doubt they will be.
Yeah, we've gone shorter than we used to.
Yeah,
Fuck me,
we're
we'd
about
be
2.5 hours shorter.
We'd be hitting the fucking 4-hour mark at this point.
Yeah. Well, no, we wouldn't. We'd be hitting about the hour and 20 minute mark, but there'd still be 2 hours and 40 minutes to go. So thank you for listening. I'm sure that we will do this again. I've been really, really looking forward to getting back into the podcast scene. We are hoping to get this on other platforms other than Facebook. So keep up with us and we'll see what we can do. And until then, we'll speak to you next time.